Alright, so today we're going to look at factoring expressions using the greatest common factor, and we're going to start with 14x plus 21y. So we're looking for an equivalent expression. And the point of doing this is sometimes it's helpful to work with something in a different form. Sometimes you might see it in a different form, so we're just trying to become familiar with the different ways you might see something that actually are equivalent or equal to each other. So looking at this, finding the greatest common factor, I would look at 14x and 21y. Those are my two terms, and I'm trying to find out the largest number that can go into both of them. So that's the biggest number to go into both. If you're really good with your multiplication facts, this is a little bit more simple, but if not, you could use a multiplication chart to help you out. So with 14 and 21, I notice that 7 is going to go into both of them. 14x could be 7 times 2x, because 7 times 2 is 14. Bring down that. 21y would be 7 times 3y. 7 times 3y is going to make 21y. Now my greatest common factor here is 7. 7 goes into both of those. So when I'm looking at it, that's 7 times, so I'm going to put that, I'm factoring out this, I'm taking it out from both of them, and it leaves me with 2x plus 3y. 7 times 2x plus 7 times 3y. That's factoring. So this expression, and this expression are all equivalent. 14x plus 21y is the same thing as 7 times 2x plus 7 times 3y, which is the same thing as 7 times the quantity of 2x plus 3y. They're all equal to each other. Another example here, we want to use the greatest common factor, and I'm going to show you how to find if you did use the greatest common factor or not, and I'm purposefully not going to, so you can see what it looks like. So I know 5 goes into both of these. 10x is 5 times 2x makes 10x, because 5 times 2 is 10, times x, plus 5 times 10 is what's going to make 50. So if I thought 5 was the greatest common factor, I would write it as 5 times 2x plus 10. How I know, yes, these are all equal to each other. Right? They are all equivalent, but I did not. 5 is not the GCF. How I know that is 2 and 10 still have a common factor. 2 can go into 2, 2 can go into 10. So 5 times 2 makes 10, for my greatest common factor is going to be 10. So if I rewrote it out, 10x plus 5. Right? And again, when I'm looking at this, after I factor it, if the terms still have a common factor, 2 can go into 2x, 2 can go into 10. If the terms still have a common factor, that means it's not the greatest common factor. This is equal, but it's not factored fully. So 5 times 2 makes 10. So I know 10 is my greatest common factor. 10 times x, and this would be 10 times 5. So I could factor out the 10 now. 10 times x plus 5. 10 times x is 10x. 10 times 5 is 50. X and 5 do not have a common factor, so I know I factored it all the way. If I go back to the first example, 2x and 3y, there's nothing besides 1 that can go into either of these. Let's do 2 more examples. So maybe I say 13x plus 39y. Again, if you're good with your facts, you know 13 is going to go into both of these, so that's 13 times x plus, I make 39 by 13 times 3 times y. 13 is my greatest common factor, so 13 times x plus 3y. X plus 3y, because I've already used the 13 times. Last example, maybe you have something like 12x plus 9x. Now, I totally could add these two together. You could add them together and you'd get 21x. But if the directions ask you to factor, or sometimes you maybe will see, you know, another expression, you have to determine if they're equivalent or not, you'd want to know what is the same about these. And in this case, notice this has an x and this has an x. So x is part of what's in common about them. I know 3 goes into 12 and 3 goes into 9, but I also know that there's an x here and an x here. So x is part of my common factor. 3x times 4 is going to make 12x, plus 3x times 3 is going to make 9x. 3x is my common factor, left with 4 plus 3. Last thing, so if I said maybe 17a plus 3a, 17 and 3 don't have anything in common, so I would factor out the a. That would be a times 17 plus a times 3. So a is my common factor, 17 plus